is a wise Yiddish adage that says, if we thank God for all the good in our lives, there would be little time to weep over the bad. And that's wonderful. If we thanked God for all the good in our lives, there would be little time to weep over the bad. During the month of November, we will spend our time each week together thanking God for the good, the many blessings that we do have in our life. And we want to focus on that, especially in these times, especially when it feels like, oh, that's no good. What is she talking about? There is always something to be grateful for. Always. Many blessings do we have in our lives. And today, the blessings for which we are going to be really, really grateful for and focus on come in the form of friendship. Relationships are key to the human experience. Like the famous quote that says, "No man is an island." This is so true. You know this when we're isolated and kept apart from others. It just doesn't feel right. And that's why we meet under safe conditions, but we meet in person as well as YouTube and Facebook, because we want everyone to feel the energy that a spiritual community gives to people. And it truly does. It does for myself, I must say that. And I'm sure if I'm feeling it, we're all feeling it. In Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, "We meet God in the rising sun, in the budding rose, and in the joy of friendship and love." The reason we are gathered here on Sundays is because our hearts and our souls long for this friendship, for this community. And I think it is so important, and I've said this, it's so important to take care of our mental and emotional health, as well as our physical health. And as most of us know, they directly attribute to our physical health anyway. What we think is what we are creating. As I was thinking about the blessings of friendship and how to speak about it from a spiritual perspective this morning, I thought of a piece entitled "A Reason, a Season, and a Lifetime." I'm sure that many of you have maybe heard that. Yes. Or at least in part. The beginning of it goes like this: people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I really love that concept. I really believe it. It's completely grounded in religious science, new thought, a deep spiritual insight. It's one of our truths. That sentence confirms what we do believe. We teach and believe that we are created beings. In fact, we're always creating our experiences by right of consciousness. By right of consciousness, what does that mean? Our consciousness is a combination of what we think, feel, and believe, as well as our values, attitudes, and actions. By right of consciousness means that those 6 things, again, our thoughts, beliefs, feelings, attitudes, values, and actions all work together to activate the law, that law of giving us back what we think into it. And it is consistent. It never fails. Sometimes this is done at a very conscious level, and sometimes it is done at a subconscious level. In fact, most of our creation is by default. We're not even aware that we're creating, but we are always, remember this, we are always creating, whether we know it or not. The law is responding to our thoughts, to our emotions, and to our actions. So the spiritual truth is that every person who comes into our lives does so for a reason. And we have called them at some part of our being, him or her, into our lives, just as they have called us into theirs. And it could be for a reason, it could be for a season, or it could be for a lifetime. So I want to go over those three briefly. When someone comes into our life for a reason, it is to meet a need you have expressed inwardly or outwardly. They have come to assist you through maybe a difficulty. It is to provide you sometimes with guidance and support to aid you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And they may have seemed like a godsend to you because they have been. They are. They are. They're the reason you need them to be there. And of course, you are in their lives for a reason. It works both ways. We don't have control over people. Also, they have a right of consciousness, and so they have called you in on some level. Then it seems that something goes wrong. It could be this way. In this relationship, something happens to bring it to an end. They may get upset, you may get upset, but something happens and that relationship ends. What we must realize is that our need has been fulfilled. It has been met. The desires have been fulfilled. And your work together is done. You see many people come in and out of our lives. And if you really, really go into that attitude of gratitude, you can really understand why they were called forth. They helped you through I'm thinking of one person in the very beginning who helped me through such incredible, a very difficult, chaotic, and painful time in my life. And then they were gone. And it's not that I even missed them. I knew that they were there for a very specific reason. And God bless them, as I know that somehow I was in their lives at that same time for a reason. But how do you know sometimes how to move on? Because that can be difficult, letting go. The greatest way is always and will always be in profound gratitude for the blessing that friendship has brought to you. Think of the gifts that you received during that time together. And rather than seeing a relationship that's over, just focus on the many blessings that were bestowed upon you and you upon them. And this story, I have a quick story that tells this so perfectly of two friends who were walking through the desert. During some point in the journey, they had an argument. And one friend slapped the other in the face. The one who got slapped in the face but was hurt, but without saying anything, wrote in the sand, "Today my friend slapped me in the face." They kept on walking until they found an oasis, where they decided to take a dip in a cool pond. The one who had got slapped got stuck in the mire and started to drown, but the friend saved him. After he recovered from this near drowning, he wrote on the stone, "Today my friend saved my life." The friend who had slapped and saved him asked him, "After I hurt you, you wrote in the sand, and now you write in stone. Why?" And the other friend replied, "When someone hurts us, we should write it in the sand where the winds of forgiveness can erase it away. But when someone does something good for us, we must engrave it in a stone where no wind can ever erase it." So we remember the good. We remember the good, always. And then there are those people whom we invite into our lives by right of consciousness for a season. So this concept may have been inspired by scripture that says, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the sun." Those who come into our lives for a season teach us something we could not have learned without them. They bring us experiences of peace and love. They usually give us an unbelievable amount of joy. But it is only for a season. And like spring turns to summer, summer to fall, and fall into winter, seasons eventually end. So must these relationships. And they may end the same way as the reason relationships ended. There could be hurt and pain around them leaving, or they could just leave quietly. How many people have you known that have just been in your life for a short time, and it was astounding how much that took place with that person for that short period of time? Those are for a season kind of friends. That takes us to lifetime relationships. They may not be literally a lifetime, but they are relationships that you attract into your life for the long haul. These are relationships that allow you to grow and become the best that you can be. These people you know, who know you and accept you for who you are, and embody the love, support, and lessons you receive from them, and then use it in all other relationships and areas in your life. For you can give away what you can really hold on to. You can't give away what you have no idea exists. These relationships may shift and change over time, sometimes more involved and engaged. Sometimes there's a distance involved. You know, you've had those friends that you've had for just about your whole life, some people. But the bond stays strong. You can pick up the phone after a couple of years and call them, and it's like, wow, it was yesterday. It feels like that we just spoke. Those are the lifetime friends. The bond is in the heart. The caring is always there. Real lifetime friends are those who, when you've made a fool of yourself, don't feel like you've done a permanent job. Thank goodness I have a couple of those in my life. Yes. If you want to create more lifetime relationships and friendships, our founder, Ernest Holmes, gave us some counsel. And this is almost the same thing that Reverend Brenda just read. That's one mind working together. This is the chapter on mental equivalence, and it's under attracting friends. And I would suggest that you read that whole chapter of mental equivalence. So I got these from it. Just gonna bullet mark a couple. If you wish to attract friends, begin to imagine ideal relationships, to sense and to feel the presence of friends, to enjoy them in your mind, not as illusions, but as a reality, not as a dream, but as an experience, to declare that their presence is here now, right here, right now, as if it already has taken place. You have the definite right to specifically design the kind of friend you want. But never think of certain people to fit that. That's then generalizing on that person and projecting on that person what you want to feel. Just know what it is you want to feel in a friendship. And this is what the law will respond to and send back into your lives. It's the way it works. It's the way it works. And finally, in order to have this type of friendship, cultivate the attitude of friendship toward everyone and everything. Quoting Holmes, who's quoting Emerson, if you want a friend, be a friend. Right? You've heard that. The one who has learned to love all people will find plenty of people who will return that love. This is not mere sentiment. Remember that. This is not mere sentiment. It is more than a religious attitude of mind. It is a deep scientific fact. We love our spirituality because besides being a spirituality, a philosophy, or religion, it is also scientific. We can prove it because the law of attraction is always working. The law of cause and effect is always working. It's always working. The reason is this. Until, and this is what Reverend Brenda said, until we learn to love, we are not sending out love vibrations. And not until we send out those vibrations can we receive love in return. And I would be remiss if, as your minister, I did not mention in this talk another friendship. That you have a lifetime friend. One that Ernest Holmes writes about in his book, Your Invisible Power. You have a friend within you who is closer than your shadow. This friend anticipates your every desire, knows your every need, and governs your every act. This friend is the God within your own soul, the animating presence projecting your personality, which is a unique individualization of the living spirit. This friend, and this is not gender specific. Holmes always uses the word he. I just wanted to know, I will quote Holmes, but it's not gender specific. He is a personification of God. He is not limited by previous experiences which you may have had, by present conditions, not passing situations. The friend within you is continuously looking after your well-being. He always wishes you to be happy, to be well, to be radiant, being the very fountain of your life. This friend is a luminous presence, ever more emerging from pure spirit, ever more expanding your consciousness. He is the high counselor, the eternal God. We all have within us this eternal God. Isn't that the best friendship of all? That we turn within and we feel the comfort, the guidance, the protection that we can only feel when we develop our own specific personal relationship with a higher power, with the indwelling power, with our eternal friend. This is our internal and eternal friend. And so, my friends, we celebrate, honor, and give thanks for the blessings of friendship. The friendships that we bring into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And the internal, eternal, everlasting friendship of the divine. This morning, let us be eternally grateful for each and every one of them, for all relationships. And I have a very short poem that I want to read to you. I looked for my soul, but my soul I could not see. I looked for my God, but my God eluded me. I looked for a friend, and then I found all three. It's a nice, cute little poem there. But what I want to end today's talk with is a prayer written by Ernest Holmes on friendship. So I'd like to ask you to just join me in this prayer by just opening up your mind, your heart, your soul, your very being. He writes, God in me is unified with God in all. The one is now drawing into my life all love and fellowship. I am one with all people, with all things, with all life. As I listen to this silence, the voice of all humanity speaks to me and answers that love that I hold out to it. The great love which I now feel for the world is the love of God, and it is felt by all and comes back to me from all. I understand that all people, and this understanding is reflected back to me from all. I give friendship, and therefore I have friends. I help, therefore I am helped. I uplift, therefore I am uplifted. I am now surrounded by all love, all friendship, all compassion, all health, all happiness, and all success. I am one with life. I wait in the silence while the Great Spirit bears this message to the whole world, and so it is, my beautiful friends, and so it is.